Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Soebbing from Quilt Addicts Anonymous. So you're used to seeing a lot of sewing tutorials from me, but one of the things I really love to do besides that is paint and do some makeovers on furniture. So today I'm going to show you how to take a thrift store dump into something that's really trendy and cool and has this beautiful stencil from Stencil Revolution. Today's video is sponsored by Stencil Revolution. Stencil Revolution is a small family-owned business based out of Florida, and they laser cut their stencils themselves. It's really cool. They've got lots of really fabulous designs to choose from. They have obviously these mandalas. These are really popular, but they also have lots of home decor stencils that you can use for the wall, furniture, and also really cute sayings and animals that you can use. I'm really inspired, and I think I may be using some more of them in some upcoming videos because there's some really cute ones. There's this You Are My Sunshine one that I think I absolutely have to do something with, because that is the one song I can sing and not sound terrible to my child. So we're gonna have to do something for her bedroom with that one. So a little bit about what I did here. We started with a hideous, mid-century design, really clunky. And so what I did first was I covered everything with graphite, Annie Sloan Chalk Paint. And then I covered that with Provenance, which is this really light tealy blue color. And then I added the stencil on top. And then I did some two-color distressing here, just sort of bring out some of the details of the piece. So we see a little bit of the wood grain, but we also see that graphite coming through to give that dimension and tie it in with the color I chose for the mandala on the top. So I'm really happy with how this turns out. I think it's gonna look fabulous in our quilt shop at Quilt Addicts Anonymous in Rock Island, Illinois. But someday if I bring it home and swap it out with something here in the house, it'll look great here too. So we're gonna show you how to transform this piece. All right, so I took out both of the drawers and removed the hardware. I saved everything in a bag because I'm gonna reuse the door pulls on them. I think they're really cool. And then of course we wanna reuse all those screws as well. So now I've already cleaned my piece before I got started. I just used, regular water. If you want, you can use TSP, that's short for trisodium phosphate, to get it really clean. If you're concerned about a piece being really dirty and dingy and looks like it's been collecting dust for quite some time before you got started. I'm gonna start by doing 2 layers of paint of my graphite. And that is the color that I want to show through once I sand when I do the 2-color distress. So you're not really gonna see this in the majority of it. You're just gonna see it where I kind of rough it up a little bit, but I do want that to be a nice clear color, not patchy at all. So I'm gonna do 2 full coats to get really good coverage. I get this question last time. Make sure you stir your paint up as well before you get started. You definitely want to do that. So I love this brush, but the handle broke off, and I'm totally going to super glue it together, but I can't find my gun right now. So in the meantime, I'm just going to go with the grain and start painting this. Your first coat is going to be pretty see-through. That's okay. We're going to go over it later. And I like to take long strokes, especially a little piece like this, from side to side. This should go really fast because it's really a small piece. Shouldn't be too difficult to work with. I'm gonna do the other half, and then I'm gonna do the lips, the side lip here. The other thing you want to do is if there were any imperfections, like gouges or anything like that, scratches, fill that with a little bit of wood putty and sand it smooth before you get started. All right, I've got a really smooth start for that mandala stencil from Stencil Revolution, and that's gonna be really fun to work with. And once we get that there, and now I can go ahead, do the edges of this top. All right, we've got a nice smooth top. Now I'm gonna work on the sides and do the drawer fronts as well. I'm gonna skip doing the inside of this one because I'm just gonna do the lighter color on the inside so that way it's easier to see things when you're looking in to grab what is hidden away inside. So on this front, I'm really only doing the little bits that are gonna show when the doors are closed, because that's where I'm gonna be sanding to get that two-color distress look. The rest of it I'm gonna cover with the lighter color once I get to that step. While I'm waiting for this top to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and get my drawers done, and I'm just gonna do the front of these again because I'm only want to do the two-tone and use this paint where I'm gonna be distressing potentially, so that way we don't have to use paint unnecessarily. You wanna really get in all those nooks and crannies. So I finished my first coat. It went on super fast and super quick, but because it was so fast and because it's really humid right now, because it's a hot summer day, it isn't totally dry yet. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes to finish drying, and then I'm gonna do my second coat in the graphite, and then we're gonna wait for that to dry, clean brushes, and move on to the next coat. All right, so this is really dry. This paint dries super fast, and you don't really need to wait too much in between recoat times. So I'm gonna get started already on coat 2. If it's still showing through a little bit, I'm still gonna do a couple more coats of the light on top of it, so I'm not worried about that. If it doesn't look like it's covering all the wood, like right now I can still see little bits of wood coming through. If I can still see that after coat 2, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just going to the second color. So I waited a good hour in between doing the second coat of my graphite, and now I'm going to change colors. That's because I wanted it to be really dry, because I'm going from a very dark color to a very light color, and I did not want those to mix. So over this, I'm going to be doing Provenance. It's a very light, sort of bluey green. I really like it. There's some gray undertones in there too, so it's really going to play nice with this and have some really nice warm tones come out when we do that sanding at the end. So just like when I started and did the first coat, I'm not expecting this first coat to cover completely this gray. I'm gonna expect to do 2, maybe 3 coats depending on how I'm liking the finish. I wanna have a really nice smooth surface to work with when I do that Mandala Stencil from Stencil Revolution. So I'm really doing nice long strokes here, so we have a nice smooth even finish. And I really do kind of like the way this charcoal looks as well. At some point I'm just going to have to do a piece that's just charcoal, but this one I want 2 color. I think that'll be fun. So I can see a lot of this charcoal showing through, but that's all right. This is coat number 1. We're going to do a couple of them before we are totally done here. To brighten up the inside of this cabinet, I'm also going to paint it with the nice little blue, this Provenance, and that way when you open it up, it'll be nice and colorful inside, and it'll be really easy to find whatever it is that you're looking for. Now I'm going to do the fronts of the drawers as well. Same deal, covering the entire thing, and I'm not too worried if the gray is going to be showing through because we're going to do another coat. Still trying to do those long smooth strokes. What I do is I kind of go around in all of those little grooves, both on the inside and outside. Then once I'm satisfied I've got them, do a nice long stroke up and down to get that nice smooth look. Alright, so the first coat of my light blue Provenance is on. I am loving this shade. It's still pretty patchy because it's just coat 1, so I'm going to let this finish drying. I'm going to do a second coat. That probably is going to be enough for what I'm going for with the look of this piece. And then I'll show you how to do a stencil. All right, everything is completely dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the second coat, and we might do a third. It just kind of depends on how well the second coat covers. So my second coat of Provenance is on and it's drying, and the coverage is really good. So I'm going to stop here and I'm not going to do another coat, especially since I'm going to be sanding to do a 2-color distressing. So next step is to do the mandala stencil. I do need to also do a couple of coats on the back side of those door fronts, but that's pretty simple, so I'm not going to show you that on camera, and we'll just probably do one more coat on the inside too. I feel like it needs a little, it's still patchy in there, but it's looking really cool and I'm loving how this is going. So once this is dry, we'll do the stencil. All right, so I let everything dry overnight, and that's more so that when I do the distressing, that the paint will have cured a bit more and I'll be able to really see both the teal and the graphite coming through. I'm going to be using this mandala stencil from Stencil Revolution. I'm going to put a link to where you can get this in the description box below. And I picked this hexagon shaped end table specifically so that the mandala would kind of fill out to the edges, and I have measured and taped this in place so that it's exactly center with both the sides and the top and bottom. Now there's 2 ways you can apply paint for a stencil. You can use a little foam roller or you can use a stencil brush. I prefer a stencil brush because I feel like I get better control over how much paint is going in. Now you kind of want to like hurry up and get it done, and so a lot of people will just glob it on and go to town, but then that's when you don't get nice clean lines. So less is definitely more when it comes to using stencils and doing that. So I'm actually not even using the paint can. I'm going to use a little bit of paint that's in the top. So I'm going to dip my brush in there, and I really don't have too much on here. I'm going to set this down. But even though I still don't have much on this brush, I'm gonna offload it. I'm gonna do that just by patting it on my paper towel. And then I'm just gonna start working really lightly, stippling that in. When I need a little bit more, I just re-dip it into the top of the can, offload it again, and then keep working my way out. The goal is not to just do this in little light bits. You don't want to have it very heavy ever, because that's when you start to not have those clean lines. Get a little more, offload it. Okay, so I have covered the entire bit with the first coat, and I'm not gonna go over the entire thing probably with the second. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for areas where it looks lighter gray and where I can still see that first coat of that bluey teal coming through. And I'm gonna take that and add a little bit more in those areas. This coat's gonna go much faster because I'm just kind of filling in areas where it wasn't quite as complete coverage as I'm looking for here. All right, so I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. I think the color is really consistent across the top, and I'm not really seeing too much teal coming through. Actually, I see just a little bit. We'll get this a little bit more right there. Give it a nice look-see, make sure everything looks nice and even, because once you pull the stencil off, that is it. There's no going back. You're just gonna have to let it be however it is. So now that I'm happy with this, peel off this tape. All right, now I'm gonna very carefully lift this up. Oh, I am happy with that, and it's perfectly centered. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited with how this is turning out. So now what I'm gonna do, while this top is drying, I'm gonna wax the parts that I'm going to distress with Annie Sloan Clear Wax, and then I'm gonna distress it and then wax the entire piece. First though, before I do any of that, I'm gonna go clean this off because I may wanna reuse this on another project someday, and if I don't do it right away, then it's gonna be really difficult to get the paint off later. So I'll go do that and then I'll be back. So with Annie Sloan Chalk Paint, you want to make sure you get one coat of wax on before you do any distressing. Otherwise, you're going to get too much off and it's just not going to look as good. So I'm going to do the areas where this piece would normally get some wear and tear. So I'm going to do all of my edges on the top and the bottom, and then my drawer fronts as well. And then we'll do a little bit of distressing and go from there. So with Annie Sloan, a little bit goes a long, long way with this wax. So I'm going to do this first little bit and kind of rub it in like lotion all along there. Then I'm going to take just an old rag t-shirt and go over and kind of rub that in. If you're coming across any hairs as you're doing this, you want to get those out now, because once they harden into the wax, that's it, they're kind of stuck in there. If you're working with a darker piece, you really don't see them, but since these areas are lighter, you can really see them, and you want to make sure you get them out now before that wax cures. All right, and do the other side, and then I'm going to go around the bottom and do my drawer fronts. So for this project, I'm testing out some Annie Sloan sanding pads. They come in 3 different weights, and I want kind of a medium distress, so I'm gonna use the red one on this. And again, I'm just gonna do kind of the raised areas where it might get some wear and tear naturally. Need some nice gray showing through. Do up top a little bit. Go ahead and switch a little bit to the light darker one, see if I can get that coming off some lip, get some more of this gray. Now these drawers are going to be the showpiece of this piece of furniture, so I want to make sure I'm being really careful and going kind of slowly with my distressing, because once I take it too much off, you know, you really can't go back from that. I want to make sure I'm taking a little bit off so I can see maybe just a teeny bit of the wood grain, but mostly just that gray. And actually some of it has already started to come off as I was just doing the wax. So I'm going to try and just do a little bit here with this lightest one and kind of just bring out more of that character, the raised bits. All right, we got a pretty decent amount of that graphite showing through. I think I'm happy with the way this is looking right now. So I'm gonna go and try and replicate this look with my other drawer. Obviously you aren't gonna get it exactly the same, but it wouldn't wear exactly the same either. So it's kind of, it's worn, looks worn about evenly. You've done a good job. All right, we've got my pops of gray coming through on here as well. It looks like it is worn about evenly as my other side. So now I'm gonna go over all this with the tack cloth to get over any extra dust, and then I'm gonna wax the entire piece and put it back together. All right, so this is it. I got everything put back together. I used the original hardware. I really like how the dark metal plays off of the graphite that we used for the mandala stencil, and then also in this 2-color distress look that we have going with the nice charcoal details showing through. I really love this transformation. I love it when you can take something that's considered junk at a thrift shop and really turn it into something beautiful that works in today's home. It's great for the environment because we're not throwing it out in landfills, and it really just brings new life to these pieces. If you enjoyed this video, also leave a comment and let me know what else you'd like to see me paint. I know we've had a couple of requests for trying out the Joanna Gaines new chalk style paint line from Magnolia Homes, and I've got some samples, so I'm going to be redoing my bedroom furniture with that, so we'll check it out and see how that goes. But let me know what you want to see painted. I also think I'm going to redo a piano, so lots more painting videos to come for those of you who follow this channel for that instead of the sewing stuff. So I really enjoy getting to show my other creative side besides just the sewing, so I'm glad you guys like it. Give it a thumbs up, like it, share it, and we'll bring you more fun videos. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy DIYing. This video is sponsored by Stencil Revolution. At Stencil Revolution, all their stencils are made and cut in the USA, and they're shipped in 1 business day. For each design that they offer, you can order it in up to 8 different size options, so you can get something that will fit the project you're working on absolutely perfectly. See all the stencils that they offer at stencilrevolution.com.